Welcome back to Voice of Africa, where we bring you stories that ignite pride, spark transformation, and give you a front-row seat to the rise of a new Africa. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to bring you a story that is not only monumental, but also deeply inspiring. A story that shows what visionary leadership can do when rooted in self-belief, dignity, and the relentless pursuit of sovereignty. Yes, we're talking about the extraordinary decision made by the president of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, to end the country's dependency on foreign food aid, specifically wheat donations from global powers like Russia, and instead transform Burkina Faso into a self-sustaining agricultural powerhouse. This is not just another political announcement or a symbolic gesture. This is a real, tangible revolution taking place right in the heart of West Africa. It is a revolution led not by generals in war rooms, but by farmers in the fields, by youth with their hands on tractor wheels, and by a leader who dares to dream of a sovereign Burkina Faso, one that grows what it eats and eats what it grows. Let's rewind the clock to 2024. At that time, Burkina Faso was in the midst of serious humanitarian challenges. Conflict and insecurity had disrupted food supply chains across the country. Recognizing the need, Russia, under President Vladimir Putin, extended a generous hand of solidarity by donating 25,000 tons of wheat to the Burkinabe people. It was a powerful gesture of friendship during a moment of crisis, and it was received with gratitude and humility by President Traoré. But while he accepted the aid, he also made a solemn vow, not only to Putin, but to his people, to the soil of Burkina Faso, and to the memory of the ancestors, that such dependence would not define the future of his nation. And today, just a year later, we are witnessing the fruits of that promise. In 2025, Burkina Faso is no longer just a recipient of wheat. It is now a producer. Fields that once lay barren have been revived. Villages that once awaited food trucks now echo with the hum of tractors and the laughter of harvesting families. In a time when many African countries are still struggling under the weight of foreign dependency, Burkina Faso is charting a new path, one of pride, self-reliance, and food sovereignty. This transformation didn't happen overnight. It began with bold, decisive action. In 2024, President Ibrahim Traoré launched what can only be described as an agricultural offensive. At the center of this strategy was the historic procurement of 400 tractors. Yes, 400 powerful machines deployed not for ceremonial purposes, not for luxury fleets of officials, but for empowering the real heroes of Burkina Faso, the farmers. These tractors were not simply handed out. The government made sure they went to the right hands: youth cooperatives, displaced communities returning to their land, and women-led farming initiatives in regions like Banzon, Senzo, and Cumbia. Training was provided. Fuel and maintenance were subsidized. The program was strategic, inclusive, and laser-focused on building a foundation for lasting change. Now let's take a moment right here to sincerely thank each and every one of our loyal subscribers and cherished members of Voice of Africa. Your continued support means the world to us. It is because of your engagement, your comments, your likes, and your shares that we are able to bring these incredible stories to life. If you believe in the work we're doing, if you want to see more content like this, content that empowers and informs, consider supporting us with a super thanks. It helps us grow, it helps us reach more people, and it helps us tell more African stories the world needs to hear. Returning to the miracle unfolding in Burkina Faso, let's talk numbers. In 2023, the country spent a staggering 67 billion CFA francs on importing over 270,000 tons of wheat and 16,000 tons of wheat flour. That's a significant burden for a developing nation. But in 2024, thousands of hectares were dedicated exclusively to growing wheat. And by 2025, the country is projected to produce 6,500 tons of its own wheat, homegrown, locally cultivated, proudly harvested. Let that sink in. In less than 2 years, Burkina Faso has gone from being almost entirely dependent on imported wheat to cultivating enough of its own to begin replacing that dependency. This isn't just about agriculture. It's about reclaiming economic independence. It's about saving billions that would otherwise go abroad and reinvesting that wealth back into the soil, the youth, and the communities of Burkina Faso. But what makes this story even more powerful is the spirit behind it. President Traoré's decision to stop accepting Russian wheat was not a dismissal of friendship. On the contrary, he has consistently expressed gratitude to Russia and to President Putin for their timely support during a dark hour. What followed, however, was not continued reliance, but a request for something deeper: capacity building. Instead of more wheat donations, Russia is now working with Burkina Faso to support infrastructure, technology transfer, and agricultural training. That, my friends, is what true partnership looks like. It is not about feeding people today, but helping them feed themselves tomorrow. Traoré's approach to leadership is rare and remarkable. He's not jet-setting around the world, chasing photo ops or seeking validation from foreign powers. He's walking the land with his people, investing in tractors instead of foreign trips, and prioritizing the dignity of work over the illusion of aid. He's showing us what can happen when a leader chooses legacy over luxury, purpose over power. For young Africans, for farmers across the continent, and for policymakers in every corner of Africa, the lesson here is simple and profound. We have what we need to thrive. Africa does not lack resources. It lacks leaders with courage. It lacks systems that empower rather than exploit. But Burkina Faso is proving that with vision, political will, and community mobilization, we can rise above these barriers. This wheat revolution isn't just about grain, it's about pride. It's about knowing that your country can stand on its own 2 feet. It's about creating jobs, retaining youth in rural areas, and transforming farming into a respected and lucrative profession. Thanks to mechanization, young Burkinabe who once fled to overcrowded cities are now returning to their villages with a renewed sense of purpose and dignity. The government's strategy also aligns beautifully with climate resilience. By investing in localized food systems, Burkina Faso is reducing its carbon footprint associated with shipping imports, promoting agroecology, and ensuring that the land is used sustainably. Wheat cultivation is no longer a survival strategy, it's an economic engine. And beyond wheat, this movement is igniting other sectors. With tractors now in the hands of farmers, there's potential to diversify into rice, maize, and vegetable farming. Local processing industries are beginning to emerge. Bread made with Burkinabe wheat is being sold in local markets. School feeding programs are sourcing from local farms. The ripple effects are enormous. President Traoré isn't just keeping a promise to Putin, he's keeping a sacred promise to his people. A promise to never again let Burkina Faso go hungry. A promise to break free from the shackles of neo-colonial aid systems. A promise to prove that sovereignty starts with the ability to feed yourself. This is more than a national achievement. It is a continental call to action. From Dakar to Dar es Salaam, from Accra to Addis Ababa, African nations must look to Burkina Faso not just as an inspiration, but as a blueprint. The age of dependency must end. The era of self-reliance must begin. So what can we, the people of Africa and the diaspora, do? We must support this shift. We must celebrate and uplift leaders who put their people first. We must challenge narratives that tell us we are too poor to feed ourselves or too weak to be sovereign. And we must invest, emotionally, politically, economically, in Africa's agricultural renaissance. As we close this powerful story, remember that this wheat revolution is still unfolding. It is still gaining momentum. And you, yes, you, watching this, are part of the movement. By staying informed, by sharing this video, By supporting Voice of Africa, you are helping to rewrite the narrative of our continent. Long live President Ibrahim Traoré. Long live the farmers of Burkina Faso. Long live African agriculture. And long live the spirit of self-reliance that is now rising like golden wheat across the Sahel. From dependency to dignity, from food aid to food pride. This is the new story of Burkina Faso. And here on Voice of Africa, we'll keep telling it until the whole world listens.